Hey, I'm Tony K. Welcome to Transformation School. In today's lesson, we are going to look at a pair of red replacement eyes for the Transformers Hasbro Masterpiece Soundwave. And these eyes were made by Nonnef Productions, a third-party company based in the United States. I had ordered my replacement eyes off of eBay. They were $6, and then shipping to Phoenix, Arizona was $3.75. But you can order these from Nonnef's official website, Nonnef.com, Nonnef.com, where they have a variety of other products that they've made. I see here feet for Combiner Wars Combiner figures, hands for them as well. Several of the products on their website are sold out. I don't know if they have any plans to reproduce those products. I see here that they've got the Soundwave eyes listed at $4.98. I'm not sure what shipping would come out to be when ordering direct from their website, but I'm sure when selling products from their website they don't have to worry about the eBay fees that they've got to cover here. eBay and PayPal fees, of course. I'm not sure what their payment method is from Nonnef.com. I've not ordered direct from their website yet. So if you don't already know, the Hasbro Masterpiece Soundwave came with yellow eyes like the G1 toy, but the Takara Masterpiece Soundwave came with a cartoon-accurate red pair of eyes. So this replacement set of eyes from Nonnef really provides a very desirable product for many collectors, and at a relatively affordable price. So we're going to need to remove a screw from the back of Soundwave's head. Appears to be a Phillips head screw. I'm going to try this little blue screwdriver that came with my X-Transbots Apollyon to replace his shoulder joints. The head is not readily coming apart. I see another screw hidden in here under the head through the neck. I should not need to remove that to separate the head. Especially as it's half covered by the head. But I'm really going to have to lean in here and look for the seam on this head. I found it right here at my thumbnail. Well, I say again, I don't think that I should need to remove the neck screw to get the head apart, but I'm going to give it a shot. I don't know if that screw will come out because of the bottom of the blue part of his head being in the way. That screw just doesn't want to turn. I'm going to have to put that shoulder cannon down. Alright, let me try this neck screw one more time. That screw just does not seem to be turning, but I do seem to be marring the plastic on the back of his head a bit. And I don't even know if I need to remove the screw. Just do not know. Okay, I just took a break for a minute and went to YouTube to search for Soundwave's eyes, and I am glad that I did. I saw that Nonnef Productions has their own instructional video on how to change the eyes, pretty much what I'm filming here today. And I also saw another video where somebody had painted their eyes red, and it turned out very well. The red was a very nice vivid color as they used paint. This is going to come out to be a much darker red compared to those painted eyes, but this is going to look very nice, very similar to the Takara version. But the reason that I'm so glad that I did that search is because there is a peg running from the blue into the silver section on both sides of the head, and those pegs are glued in. So after we remove the head, we are going to need to cut through those pegs in order to separate the front half from the back half. And getting this neck screw out will make it easier to cut through the head, because once we remove this neck screw, the neck will come apart. We can get the head off and put it on the table. And by laying our figure down, I think that I should be able to brace it much better to get this very difficult neck screw out. You know, another option would be to order a sticker sheet from a company like Repro Labels. I think they're now called Toy Hacks. I don't know if they still use the Repro Labels brand name, but I'm not a fan of stickers. They're tedious. I do not like putting stickers on. I like the idea here of having a solid replacement eyepiece. Except that this screw is the absolute worst. You know, we could technically do this whole thing without removing the neck screw, if I end up stripping this out now. Ah! And I think that's stripped. Alright, so forget about removing the head. We are going to cut the pegs, and then we will be able to separate the head and remove our eyes. This, I'm going to use my Fiskars with an X-Acto blade. In the Nonnef video, they advise not cutting too deep into the head, towards the center of the head, not to cut through this panel. So keep that in mind. Now, I would love to do this without damaging any of the silver paint. Don't know if that's going to happen. That silver paint might have met its match. You know, once I get these eyes replaced and I've got Soundwave back on my collector's shelf, I won't even notice any damage that I might be causing to the side here. And definitely not this little bit of marred plastic that I have back here. I won't notice it. I won't remember it. I will be looking at my Soundwave, his beautiful red eyes. Oh, hey look, there's some paint flaw right there. I won't even notice that either. It sure would be easier if that screw would have come out of his neck. I really want to get something in here to help separate the halves of the head. We tried that earlier. See, this first side that we got our X-Acto blade into is separating, as if maybe we broke the glue on the post, the peg, but this other side just doesn't have that space. But I'm thinking that with a little work we can free that up too. Because getting the peg to separate, the glue to separate, I think would be much happier, would make us much happier than trying to cut through that peg, especially without being able to see that peg. Now this side is separating a bit at the top, so if I can get the tip of the X-Acto blade in at the top and work it down, maybe I can get this in from the bottom. Am I still recording? Am I in frame? Am I focused? I just went back to the Nonnef video for this tutorial, and it looks like I can only go up a little ways from the bottom before I cut through that center section. They said not to cut through. A little ways being like a 1/4 of a centimeter, 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch maybe. Okay, I'm not sure what's happening right now. I think I'm actually physically cutting through that peg. I was really hoping to break the glue like I think I did on the other side. If I twist the knife a little, I might be able to pop that peg free. I'm going to try prying the head apart one more time from the top. It seems like I'm making some progress, but I'm afraid once I finally cut through that peg that this knife is going to go straight down into Soundwave's shoulders. I'd like to find something to put across his shoulder so that I don't destroy it. I have an extra piece of popsicle stick from my Skylinks mod. I can try holding in place here so that I cut into it rather than Soundwave's shoulder. Not Shockwave, the other wave. The Wave Boys. That's Shockwave right there. It does seem like I am working through that peg though. I'm almost there at the bottom. Alright, well, I made it all the way down, but I don't think I've cut all the way through that peg. Nonnef did not show all of this cutting in their video. They had already cut theirs. And then they're like, oh, this, might be a little more difficult for you. I'm just saying, it's a tutorial is always better when you can show just how much work you're going to have to go through to do this. Now, if I could have gotten that neck screw out, then maybe this would have gone easier. But my neck screw was not coming out. Okay, this thing has got to come apart now. I swear I've cut all the way through that thing. I feel like now I've got to be cutting that part that Nonnef said, don't cut. Don't cut this part. Ah. And I snapped off that blade. Let's just pull that out. Let's get in here with the Fisker's knife with the X-Acto blade. Let's see what a little cutting does. Let's turn this head towards the back more. Get this popsicle stick really pinched. Got a little spot of paint lost on his cheekbone. Okay, I just cut through something there. No idea what I'm cutting up all inside there. You know what? I thought that I'd broken the glue on this side. Maybe I didn't. Snapped off another piece of the knife. Okay, I guess that's enough of the Olfa XA1. Come back to the X-Acto blade. Sure, I'm glad I got this popsicle stick in here. Popsicle stick is saving the day. Alright, I think we got it. Let's reorient the face so he's all perfect. And separate. Dun, 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 dun. Oh man. Let's zoom in on this. Look at that. That is some garbage right there, alright? I want to look at these things side by side here. Glue. Glued the pegs. Either glue or just some sort of heat melting process. Maybe a chemical glue that melts the plastic. Now, did I cut through the thing that they told me not to cut through? Kind of looks like it to me. I can't tell. It'll be fine. I'll put it back to... Hey, maybe I'll glue the head back together. But we got the one screw that came out of the head, so maybe that should be enough to hold it. Now, in the Nonnef video, this piece came off of the neck pretty easily. that part that I think I wasn't supposed to cut through, I think that might be holding the head together. Looks like it was more than just a peg. Like it was a whole, like maybe this peg is connected to this L-shaped piece. This L-shaped piece is holding the neck on, because this circular section that's holding the peg isn't actually a circle. It is a C shape with this L-shaped peg running through there. So, but this L-shaped piece doesn't seem like it's sliding out at all, so I don't know how you would cut through that, how you would cut the peg portion without cutting that. It doesn't matter, we got it apart now. I was just examining this a little bit off camera, and if you go to do this mod and you are able to disassemble the neck to remove that back screw before trying to cut through here, this front half of the neck will fall away and you'll just be left with the back half that has a couple of nubs sticking out, which is what the head pivots on. So since this L-shaped piece is glued in, but with this front half out of the way and only the back gray half in there, you might be able to cut through here, we'll call this vertically, to free this section from the glued in part. And then once you've cut this vertical space, then you can just cut through this rounded section to free the front half of the face from the back half. Because my head was still stuck to the neck, there was no way I'd be able to get up in there when I'd have the front of the face on here. So I ended up having to cut through the whole thing to get the face free. So again, if you're able to get rid of the neck, you might, just might, I'm saying, be able to come up through the bottom of the head, cut these interior sections free from the round portion. So then you can just cut the round portion. What that will help with later on, if these pieces are still attached to the front of the head, you might not end up with a loose head tilt. As we'll see later on, once I reassemble the face, my head tilt is a little loose. And applying pressure here and here would tighten that up, but there isn't much of a way to apply that pressure now that it's been cut. Let's see, we have our front face section here, and we need to remove this. Now, one video I saw, I don't recall if it was Nonnef's video, said that you needed to push the eyes out through the front, needed to use a small blade, and they recommended putting it in near the edges. I did not have that experience. While the camera was cooling down, I tried these pliers and very gently pinched the back silver portion and slid that out. And it's a little stuck now, so you know, tried it once, put it back, try it again. There we go. And then the yellow portion provides that yellow color. And this is what we're replacing. So that's our face from the back, from the front. So we have this silver chrome piece, just kind of provides some depth to the eyes. Wonder what this would look like if Shockwave had silver eyes, no color in there. I'm gonna slide this back in. It's definitely a snug fit. I see why we had a little difficulty pulling it out. Did I say Shockwave earlier? Jeez. Soundwave. Soundwave with silver eyes. That does not appeal to me. His face is all silver, the eyes are silver. Doesn't work for me. We'll pull those right back out. And now let's open up our package from Nonnef. Take a look at our eyes together here. There's a little flashing on the Nonnef eyes. Can clean that up with the X-Acto blade. Trim a little flashing off the top. Might not be necessary, but all cleaned up, and we shall put it on. push that all the way in there. Maybe. That's something not sharp. Use my popsicle stick. Get the silver piece, put this in. There's still some space around those eyes. Not sure how far it needs to push in and how much of that would just be not noticeable once the back is on the head. Maybe I'll pull this back out. The alignment, it's not a perfect fit. It's not like a glove. There's wiggle room. Okay, I think space around, you know what, I keep talking about it. I'm pulling this red piece back out, I'm putting the yellow piece back in, and I want to see if there's space around the genuine factory direct official yellow plastic piece. Yeah, there's some space behind it. Around it. I guess some space around the edges, I should say. Not quite as much, though, as there is with the Nonnef eyes. But again, once I put the head back together, I don't imagine that space is going to be very noticeable. Looking good. Now we should reassemble our head. Screw it back together. That looks good. There's still, I can see the eyes are not a perfect fit. It's like that space that I saw around them, it's still a bit noticeable. Barely, okay, barely. I mean, this guy's going to be back on my shelf. And happy-go-lucky. His head is a bit looser. The up and down motion, unfortunately. I think because I cut through those parts that were next to the pegs that Nonnef said not to cut through. I couldn't help it though. I couldn't see inside of there. I tried cutting through the pegs. It wasn't coming through. It's as if the parts that they said not to cut were actually part of the peg. And that the head was not coming apart without cutting through them. Now, from about, let's see, alright, so his head is staying up right there. If I try to get him to look down any little bit more, his head drops down. But from up here, his head is holding its position. So I don't feel any need to try to tighten that, because it's not like I need him to look right here without his head dropping down. I keep him on a shelf where he's going to look straight forward, or he's going to look up a little bit. So he is good. In fact, he is great. Definitely, I do appreciate having the red eyes more than the yellow eyes. These Nonnef eyes do look really good. There was a lot of work involved in putting them in, however. Now, I do enjoy cutting up my Transformers and doing plastic surgery, putting in that sort of effort. But I know a lot of collectors who would not want to do that sort of plastic surgery to a masterpiece figure. I know a lot of collectors who wouldn't mind the cutting except for the amount of work that went into it. And I know a lot of collectors who would much prefer to go the sticker route. I only know a few collectors who would prefer the yellow eyes, or who wouldn't care about the yellow eyes. Overall, I'm very pleased with the Nonnef eyes. I even noticed that the Nonnef mold doesn't have the little circles in the corners that the Hasbro yellow eye mold has. I don't have the Takara Soundwave in my possession, so I'm not sure if the Takara mold for the eyes has those little circles in the corner either, but they don't look very good at all. Nonnef's eyes do not have that. The eyes are a little dark, the shade of red, I suppose because they were transparent and, or should I say translucent, trying to utilize the effect of the silver piece behind the eyes. I suppose the eyes might be better off if they were of a solid, opaque plastic, painted or not. You could just use a red plastic, or you could paint a plastic maybe brighter, like this little red application on his shoulder there. That might help his eyes stand out a bit more. I am going to put some links in this video's description. I will put a link to Nonnef's eBay page. I'll also put a link to Nonnef's main website, as well as a link to Nonnef's video tutorial for these eyes. Because if you're thinking about replacing these, or you're just curious to see more detail about doing this eye replacement, you'll definitely want to check out their video as well. I took the head back apart to shoot thumbnails for the video, and the Nonnef eyes, the red pair, are just a little bit more narrow than the yellow eyes from Hasbro, which is why I'm seeing just a little bit of space between the edge of the eye and the edge of the eye socket. Now, I'm sure a lot of folks are going to wonder what kind of damage was done to the side, trying to get the knife in there. We'll see how close we can get and still find a focal point. That's kind of ugly. I mean, we still love him. I still love this figure. That side, what, not so bad? Let me get my hands off him so he's not shaking. Yeah, that side's worse. A little bit on the top of the head. Right at the top there. And of course there's what I did to the neck, trying to get that neck screw out. So that is going to turn off, this damage is going to turn so many collectors away from these replacement eyes. And the darkness of them. In front of the camera right now, I mean, they look alright. What happens if I flip off all these extra lights? On the shelf, you know, when I put this with the rest of my Masterpiece figures, I just think those eyes are going to be so hard to see. I think we should try painting them. Now, I've got this metallic paint. I'd really like to try metallic eyes on him, because I think that it'll catch the light as I walk around the room and, you know, I look at the shelf of toys while I'm doing different things, and I think that the reflective eyes would look great. I think the MP Optimus, I don't have it anymore, but if I recall, he had reflective metallic blue eyes, and they looked fabulous. My other option is this red Plastidip. Now that's a rubberized coating, and I think it will look good, although over time it might peel a bit. I do a lot of work with the Plastidip. I use it a lot on my candle mask, where it's the mask is white in between the eyes. That's where the Plastidip started peeling up. So I think I'm going to try the red metallic first, and then if that doesn't look well, maybe sand the eyes, sand it off or scrape it off, and then try the Plastidip. I am going to do a base coat of this Krylon for plastics. This should have a good chemical adherence to the plastic in the eyes, and then this red coat on top should come out to be a nice brilliant red with the white behind it, and this red coat should adhere better to this white base coat. Taking this outside to paint it. Phoenix, Arizona, it's only like 110, maybe 112 degrees out right now. But we're in the shade, so that's good. I don't want to fill this opening with any paint because I want this to slide on as smoothly and easily as possible. So I'm going to use this drill bit to fill up the majority of this hole. And then this straight pin as well here. I'm just going to hit it with some white paint. Okay, we've given this 20 minutes. Is it dry to the touch? Yeah, it is. Do we second coat or go for the red now? Let's second coat. Sweet. It's been about another 25 minutes. I'm gonna make sure that drill bit is loose, that the paint hasn't adhered the eyes to the bit. Shake up my red paint. And we're gonna let that dry. What's the red paint say? Use at temperatures between 60 and 92. So we're only like 20 degrees over. In the shade here, it's probably closer to 102. Apply all coats within 1 hour, allowing 10 minutes between each coat. Okay. One more coat should do it. Our eyes look pretty good. We're going to put them back in Soundwave's face and then take Soundwave over to the masterpiece shelf and evaluate how bright this red is and whether it's going to work for me or not. Gosh, there's still so much space open around those eyes. I was hoping that the paint would kind of build that up, but I guess we only put on like 4 coats of paint. Not a whole lot on this tiny little piece. Oh, those look nice. Those look pretty gosh darn good. Perhaps a little bit dark once I get the lights off, but once we get this over to the collector's shelf, I think the light bar that I have on the shelf will work. You know, it's kind of silly to think about it now, but I really did not need the eyes from Nonnef. Since I painted them, I could have simply painted the yellow ones. But I thought that the Nonnef eyes would work out well. And if you like the look of them, the darker red, then, you know, they did work out. Really, they did. And I thought they looked good, but they were just a little too dark for me. Again, Nonnef has shows on their various pictures different colors of eyes. They are all translucent. Like they had purple eyes, and I think I saw blue eyes and yellow eyes. But red is all I've seen available recently for sale. But if they use their same mold or their same 3D printer, I think they would do well to have made an opaque red, and then they could have found the right shade of red to really work with this figure. Of course, we're talking 2 years, I think, since the initial release of the Nonnef product. And gosh, when was Masterpiece Soundwave released? 3 years ago? 5 years ago? So I don't imagine there's much of a market demand for the product at this point in time. But after this effort, at least now I've got the red eyes, plus I still have the original yellow eyes if for whatever reason I ever want them again. I'll just put them back into the Soundwave box. Here we are at the Decepticon Masterpiece and third-party shelf. And those eyes look fantastic. Now that I think about it, I should have probably brought the figure out here for a look-see before I painted the eyes. But I have no regrets in painting those eyes because that red really pops. Almost a match for that red bit on his shoulder. Kind of makes me want to try to paint Apollyon's eyes, which are really hard to see, but even with brightening his eyes up, they're still really, really narrow. Let's see, got some narrow red eyes on Fans Toy Spotter there. Starscream back there has some nice bright red eyes. Over here on the Autobots, we Sure do have a ton of blue eyes. That's a lot of blue eyes. What are they trying to say over at Hastech? The Hasbro and Takara designers. Oh, there we got some red eyes down on, is it eject or rewind? Got some red eyes. Yeah, that's a ton of blue eyes. Now, sure, we can switch Grimlocks, but blue is the cartoon accurate, and if you haven't caught enough of my videos yet, I am a cartoon accurate guy. But back to our beautiful red-eyed Soundwave. Taken back into the studio, finished shooting thumbnails for YouTube, but that is all for today's lesson, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Class dismissed.